As we wait for the next court date in the Holly Johnson murder trial, the drama outside that courtroom has taken a turn that nobody saw coming. Behind the scenes, the defendant's aunt has released a message, but it doesn't address the shooting death of Romeca Meeks. It doesn't talk about the evidence or the 6 charges. Instead, it goes after news reporters, content creators, and anyone with a platform who's been talking about this case. She's threatening strikes, she's defending her niece, and she's dropping information that seems to go in a completely different direction than what we've heard in open court. But before we break down every single point she made, this is True Crime Unravelled, and I want to send a massive thank you to everyone who's hit that super thanks button. You are the reason we can keep digging into cases like this and bringing you the full picture. We see you, we appreciate you, and we don't take it for granted. Now, let's get into it. For those just tuning in, here's where we stand. Holly Johnson is sitting in Cook County Jail charged with first-degree murder and 5 additional counts for the death of 31-year-old Romeca Meeks Blackman. This happened on September 8th, 2025, in Chicago's South Loop, a mother dropping her 7-year-old son off at school. A confrontation erupted, and Holly allegedly pulled out a gun and shot Romeca in the face. The judge has denied her release 3 separate times. And after one court hearing, the father at the center of this love triangle, Carlos Smith, got into a physical fight right outside the courthouse and was arrested himself. This case is messy, it's emotional, and now the family is fighting back in a way that raises more questions than it answers. So let's walk through this message from the defendant's Aunt Tammy. She sat down and addressed a lot, and we're going to take it in the order she laid it out. She starts by saying this isn't the internet versus her family. She says she's going to fight for her niece and stand up for what's right. And she mentions that people are worried about her taking their pages down. She says she's striking pages because people are reporting slander and defamation and speaking negatively about Holly, Carlos, herself, and her family.
Right into it. It is not the internet versus Tick. It's not the internet versus Tanika, okay? But what I will do is I will come here and I will always fight for my niece and I will always stand up for what's right. Hear that a lot of you guys are worried about me taking your page. You're worried about me taking your page because you are reporting this information. You are reporting slander and defamation and things like that because that's the only way, besides a copyright of course, that's the only way that I can get your page taken is if you are speaking so negatively about how the Carlos, myself, and my family. I had to go ahead and copyright every picture. I should not have to do that all to stop people from making money off the store. This is not something that we want to do. We're not trying to make money off of it, but we have to take these legal steps to stop other people don't know. So yes, we have taken those steps, but it's not something that we want to do. This case started out with lies.
Now, here's the question. If the information being put out is truly false, that's one thing. But what happens when the information being put out is actually backed up by court transcripts and witness statements? Does striking a page become a way of silencing the truth, or just silencing the noise you don't like? She then moves on to the money. She says she had to copyright everything to stop people from making money off the story. And she makes it clear she doesn't want to make money off this. She says the case started with lies, and the news journalists made it worse. But let's sit with that for a second. Can you really stop people from making money off a story this big? The news makes money. The lawyers make money. The court system makes money. Even the judges are getting paid. Everyone in this ecosystem profits in some way. So why is the focus on the content creators and not on the act that created the story in the first place? If Holly hadn't pulled that trigger, would anyone be in a position to make money off anything? Now she gets into the location. She says the reporting that Romeca was dropping her son off at school is wrong. She says her son was already dropped off and that Romeca turned around, made a U-turn, and blocked Holly's car in. She insists this will be presented in court. But here's what we have to chew on. Video and witness accounts place this incident directly across the street from the school. Whether it was the drop-off moment or moments after, it happened in a school zone. The gates are right there. The building is right there. So does the exact minute of drop-off change the fact that a mother lost her life feet away from where children learn?
And unfortunately, the news journalists reported it, made it even worse. Because when you say, or a person was dropping their son off at school when they were just unalive, and that's just not the right, accurate reporting. Her son was already dropped off at school. And then she turned around and made a U-turn and blocked Harley's car in, whether you like it or not. Harley's car was blocked in, and that will be presented in court. See, the judge spoke after the event, after Carlos mowed his car, but that's neither here nor there. That will be presented in court or whatever. But when you are a news journalist and your reporting said, oh, I don't know how RM ended up over there. What do you mean you don't know how? You look up the court documents or don't report on it. Misrepresenting the public is a problem. It's a problem when you are a journalist. So yes, unfortunately, it's here, the way that she came out reporting that case. And not only that, not only did she misrepresent the case in the very beginning, I text her myself, and I still have the text messages. I told him to clear it up. You know, go back and clean it up, do your work, do your homework or whatever.
And if Holly's car was truly blocked in, why didn't she just wait? Why didn't she call the police? Why did the situation escalate to a point where a gun came out and a life ended? She pivots to the restraining order. And this is where things get legally sticky. She says the narrative that police were trying to serve Romeca with a restraining order is false. She claims it was an eviction notice, not a restraining order. And she says the restraining order had already been served, that a judge recently said it was valid and enforced, and that Romeca knew about it. She challenges people to pull the court transcripts for $1. But here's the thing, we have pulled the transcripts. And what they show is a much more complicated picture. In open court, the judge himself walked through this timeline. He asked the prosecutor directly, was Romeca served? The prosecutor said, and I quote, had not yet been served. The judge then stated that at some point, the people trying to serve her learned she was deceased.
You see, you guys are saying that the police were still trying to serve her the restraining order. No, they were not. They tried to serve her that eviction. That's true. It's different. And all of this is in the court documents. You never understand why people don't go down there and pay $1. I think it was only $1, paid only like $1. I had every transfer, every coin, all of it. And you just pay for it and put out the accurate information. They were not still trying to serve her the restraining order. They were trying to serve her for something completely different. The restraining order had already been served. The last judge said this in open court. Post the transcripts. If you are real ARN supporters, post the transcripts from a court night when the judge just said, and this was recent, he just said, a restraining order was valid and enforced. Who knew about it?
So let's ask the question, if the order was valid and enforced, why were officers still trying to serve it? And if Romeca was never physically handed those papers, can she truly be held in violation of something she never received? The aunt says the order was served. The court says she was never served, and they found out she was dead while still trying. That's not a small difference. That's a canyon. She goes on to criticize journalists, specifically calling out one reporter from Fox News. She says she texted her directly and told her to clear it up, to do her homework. And she says people should go pay that $1 and get the transcripts themselves. But here's a fair question. If the transcripts are publicly available and the facts are so clear, why is there so much disagreement about what they actually say? If everyone read the same document and came to different conclusions, maybe the issue isn't the readers. Maybe the issue is that the truth isn't as clean as anyone wants it to be. She talks about preparing for the grand jury. She says they knew it was coming. They were preparing themselves emotionally and financially. They didn't know it would be first-degree murder, but they knew something was coming.
You guys said that she slept in our car overnight. There was some lies in the beginning. You know, and saying that it happened at the school. It didn't happen at this school. It happened closer to Carlos's home. Harley was parked closer to Carlos' home where she had been parked all weekend. But that's neither here nor there. That will be talked about in court. Unfortunately, and I didn't tell the news that Aram had a restraining order against Carlos, and that was false. All of this false reporting on the news when it could have been docked, you could have just pulled up the paperwork. And she said that as a journalist, right, your responsibility, you are supposed to go and pull up the court documents to see if there is an active restraint order against Carlos. That's misrepresenting the public. Like, all of this is going to come out eventually. And he sat back for 5 long months and let Char defame us and slander us, and I never did anything. I know what to do legally. But I said back, I tried to let Cod do what Char do on with the content creators. You don't understand. But at some point you get tired, because at the end of the day, this is our real lives. And to say that we did not know that this case was going to the grand jury is crazy. When the state told most that it was going to the grand jury, when they tried to trick him to come down there to give another statement, they told him it was going to the grand jury. So why would we not think it was going to the grand jury? You do not think that we were preparing ourselves for her to be arrested? Like I said, no, we didn't know she was going to be charged with first degree. But we were prepared ourselves as a family. We all encouraged, we're all doing worst goes to do. We're legally, financially, and emotionally preparing ourselves for whatever the outcome is going to be. No different than with the case. We are mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared ourselves for whatever happens in this case.
And she says her sister, Holly's mother, has never spoken publicly because she's humble and she's devastated. This is her only child. That part is heartbreaking, no question. But then she pivots and says the things brought up in court will be about real character, not social media BS. And she says Romeca's mom, the cousins, the aunties, they won't matter in court. Only the parents, the victim, and the defendant will matter. That may be legally true. But here's the question. If social media doesn't matter in court, why is so much energy being spent fighting it? Why strike pages? Why threaten lawsuits? If it has no bearing on the trial, why not let people talk and let the evidence speak for itself in that courtroom? She addresses the OnlyFans situation. She says when she shared Holly's page, all she saw was cooking videos. She says people flocked there thinking they'd see something else, got mad and wanted refunds, but that's not how the platform works. She says Holly was a video vixen back in 2012, and she tells people to look it up in the Webster's Dictionary, a model in music videos. She says OnlyFans is a legal business. Millions of people do it, and everyone needs to get over it.
And then I want to address content create. You saying that when I'm talking down on my niece or whatever and I should be quiet, I will never stop talking about my niece. How about this? I'll make a deal with you. You stop talking about the case, I'll stop talking up, I'll stop standing up for my niece. How about that? But that'll never happen. So I will always talk about my niece. I'll always stand up for my niece. 100%. But let me just tell you something. When I shared her OnlyFans, the only thing I knew was cooking videos. And let's watch. People flocked to it, only to see clicking videos, and then they were mad trying to get refunds and things like that. OnlyFans don't work like that. No, you signed up so you're not getting your money back. Yes, that's how that works. I want you to look in the Webster's Dictionary. I want you to research video vixen in the Webster's Dictionary, not the Urban Dictionary, because Heidi was raised in a suburb. She wasn't raised in a city. So there's a difference. So look in the Webster Dictionary and you're going to see, and that's exactly what she was in 2012, which is where that video that I posted was from. She was a video vixen, which is a model, a woman that does music videos and things like that or whatever. Look that up, I implore you to. OnlyFans is a legal business. Because I think you guys don't know this, or y'all just be talking. But you don't eat honest sound, people, but it's 1 million people don't OnlyFans, honey. You have to get over that. When she posted it, it was true. It was a legal business. But we don't move on from it.
Now, legally, she's right. It's a legal platform. But let's ask the bigger question. In the middle of a murder case with your niece accused of taking a life, is posting about her OnlyFans the move that helps her case? Does it humanize her? Or does it distract from the actual issue? And if she's just posting cooking videos, why is that even relevant to a homicide trial? She says September 8th changed everyone's lives. Romeca's family, Carlos's family, her family. Everyone is hurting. Nobody woke up thinking this would happen. Carlos and Holly were doing what they were supposed to be doing, putting their baby in the car. She says you cannot be ambushed by someone you have an active restraining order against. But again, if that order wasn't served, was it truly active in the eyes of the law? And if Romeca was the one doing the ambushing, where's the evidence that she had a weapon? Where's the evidence that she was the aggressor? Witnesses say she was unarmed. The police report doesn't mention her having a weapon. So if you're being ambushed by an unarmed woman and you have a gun, at what point does self-defense stop being self-defense and start becoming something else? She brings up stalking. She says Romeca was stalking Holly's TikTok page, recording herself doing it and sending those videos to family. She says that will be used in court.
September 8th didn't just change Romeca's family's lives. It changed all of our lives. It changed Caramel's family lives. It changed my family life. It changed all of our lives. Everybody is hurting. Everybody is devastated. Nobody woke up on September 8th thinking that this was going to happen. None of us did. Carlos and Holly were doing exactly what they were supposed to be doing on September 8th, which was putting their baby in the crib. You cannot be ambushed. You should not be ambushed by somebody that you have a active restrained order against. You should not. They did not invite her to come over there and ambush them. But I don't even want to get into that. At the end of the day, the threats were very real. The stalking was that I would never, that video, you know how that came out? Because RM was stalking Holly's TikTok pen, and she sent that video to her family, who put that video out. That will be used in court because what she did was, I don't understand why, she always recorded herself stalking Harley. You're stalking her social media and you're recording yourself. Like, what are you doing that?
And here's the question. If watching someone's public social media page is stalking, what do we call it when a family member monitors content creators, strikes their pages, and fights them online for weeks? If watching a public figure is stalking, then what are we all doing right now? Where's the line? She says her sister is humble, that she's never been on social media, that she has a family rallying behind her, trying to de-escalate. But then she says anytime she sees lies and slander, she's going to strike pages and get them taken down.
But anyway, my sister has never came on social media. She's never talked to a news reporter. She's never done it of that because she doesn't have to. Because she has a family that is rallying behind her, trying to de-escalate the situation, not trying to force it to. That's why I'm sitting here like, we don't want to keep seeing the lies and the slander and the defamation. We don't want to keep seeing that, see? So absolutely, anytime I see it, I'm going to hit you ass. I'm going to strike you. I'm going to get your page up out of here. Every time I see it. My sister is not, she's never been a person on social media for one. So she's never going to come out here now and say anything because that's not what she does. She's a very humble woman. A very humble woman. This has torn her up. This is her own child. This has devastated her. Yes, she is like, she's just going through it. And then to keep hearing different things about the child, like, what the hell? But anyway, that's why I am her voice. I am out here fighting for her. I don't know if you all have ever sat through a murder trial, but my baby cousin, the baby of our family, he was on the Y a few years ago. I had to go identify his body. You don't say we went through his murder trial and things like that. The things that they bring up in court, and promise you, it will not be the social media BS. It's going to be your real character. Harmy's mom, and they're going to look into her. They're going to, Arm's mom, the cousins, the aunties, we won't matter in court. I promise you we won't matter in court. Who will matter is the parents, the victim, and the defendant. They will matter. The things that they do will matter. And Harley's mom hasn't said a dumb thing, or she never will. But anyway, I don't want to make this too long, but to bring everything back to a circle, I'm not arguing in detail with social media content creators. I don't know y'all and y'all don't know me. This is my real life. September 8th changed my real life. So if you don't want to lose your page, I'm not silencing anybody, but if you don't want to lose your page, make sure you're reporting news accurately. Make sure you're going to get them court transcripts and reading those, going on but what's really happening in the courts, and not just making stuff up and putting out misinformation and things like that. Are you going to get a gag order or a cease and desist or a lawsuit? I promise you that. And so I'll end with this. If you are a content creator, if you're an influencer, a blogger, a news journalist, even if you just do commentary, you are still responsible for everything that you put out. The rumors are not facts. Opinions are not proof. Like, if you put out misinformation, that turns into defamation, and that becomes a legal issue for you. I highly recommend you guys start doing your research, start pulling those court transcripts, and put out accurate information.
So let's sit with that. Is striking pages and threatening legal action de-escalation? Or is it escalation? And if the goal is to protect her niece's reputation, does fighting with the internet actually accomplish that? Or does it just keep the story alive for another news cycle? Now here's where we have to think like a juror. Legally, does Tammy have the right to fight false information? Absolutely. If people are lying, if they're making things up, she has every right to protect her family's name. But if the information being put out is actually true, if it's backed by court documents, witness testimony, and police reports, then fighting it becomes something else entirely. It becomes trying to control a narrative that doesn't want to be controlled. And that raises a bigger question. If the evidence is on your side, why are you so worried about what people are saying? Let's look at the big picture. The court has denied bond 3 times. The judge heard the arguments, looked at the evidence, and each time said no. The prosecutor laid out a case that includes 6 charges, including first-degree murder. The defense has tried everything to get her out, and it hasn't worked. So with all that on the table, here's what we have to ask. Why would a family member come out swinging at content creators instead of focusing on the trial? Why attack the messengers when the message coming from the courtroom is already so loud? Is it possible that fighting the narrative online is a way of distracting from what's happening inside that courtroom? Could it be that if the facts aren't going your way, the next best thing is to make the facts seem confusing, to muddy the waters so people don't know what to believe? Because if everyone knew exactly what happened that morning, if we all had the same evidence and the same witness statements, nobody would need theories. Nobody would need to speculate. The only people who benefit from confusion are the ones who don't want you to see clearly. And here's something else to consider. Tammy says this changed everyone's lives. She says they're all hurting. And that's true. When someone is accused of murder, the whole family goes through it. But can it ever be compared to the loss the Meeks family feels? They didn't just have their lives changed. Their daughter is gone. Their son's mother is never coming home. They haven't received a single apology from the Johnson family. Not one. But instead of reaching out, instead of acknowledging the pain on the other side, the energy is going toward fighting supporters and striking pages. Where's the sense in that? If Holly is innocent, the trial will prove it. If she acted in self-defense, the evidence will show it. But if the evidence shows something else, if the jury looks at that school zone, those witnesses, that gun, and that lifeless body, then all the striking and all the fighting online won't change a thing. The court doesn't care about TikTok pages. The court cares about facts. So here's the final question, and it's one every viewer has to answer for themselves. With 6 charges, 3 denied bond hearings, a judge who's watched the prosecution lay out its case, and a mountain of evidence pointing to a shooting that happened in broad daylight across from a school. Does it look like Holly Johnson is walking away from this? Or does it look like a family trying everything they can to hold on to hope, even when the walls are closing in? We'll find out when that trial starts. But until then, we keep watching. We keep asking questions. And we keep demanding the truth. If this breakdown made you think, hit that like button. Let us know in the comments, do you think the ant strategy is helping or hurting Holly's case? We read every single comment, and we want to hear from you. Subscribe to True Crime Unraveled on YouTube, and follow us on Facebook and TikTok at True Crime Unraveled TV. We've got more cases coming, more questions to ask, and more truths to uncover. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.